Hi, and welcome to Omega 365 Friday, live in new studio.
Yes, that's very exciting. And today we're going to have a look at some of the highlights of the release notes, the releases the last 2 months.
2 months.
And we're going to have a little look at some add-ons, because it's possible in Omega 365, of course, to build some good add-ons on top of Omega 365 core technology platform.
Yes, and we'll have a look at what's up, what's happened in general in Omega. And at the end, we'll have a look at what's around the corner in Academy.
Yes, training courses and videos that we're going to release the next few months. But let's have a little look first at some of the most important updates in Omega 365.
Yes.
So starting looking at some of the key numbers first, actually. We can see that we now have more than 16,000 users of Omega 365 core technology platform. And that's been increasing nice and steady, pretty fast since the Omega 365 was launched for the market. So that's good. We have almost 1 million documents inside the solution, more than 2,000 meetings created last month. So quite some activity as well. So that's good. But let's start having a look at the most important updates. And in planning, we're doing quite some good work now. We have the regular scheduling features, which has got some good improvements. We have more options now for what you're going to see, for what you want to see in the layout. For example, if you want to show the progress line, if you want to have roll-ups showing the baseline, indicate if it's manually scheduled, etc., etc. So many options for what you want to see in the chart. And we have a feature here which was highly requested from our clients, DCMA point assessment, which is a standard for checking the quality of the schedule. So if I click on this one, I will see that it goes through the schedule and see checking for some things that tells us something about the quality of the schedule. For example,
like a health check.
Yes, that you can say.
Plan itself.
Yes. So for example, here we have one of the activities are missing dependencies, but that's not so bad, only 4%, so we passed that test. We have some that we didn't pass, activities with invalid dates. That might be that I'm saying that it's gonna start next week, but it's already reported 10%, for example, things like that.
These parameters, if it's passed or not passed, can you configure this per solution?
Not as of today, then it's a default standard that we've set up, but that will probably come pretty soon, that you can set it up yourself what the thresholds should be. But this is based on a standard DCMA point assessment used for checking your own schedules, but it could also be one of your contractors' schedule that you import into the system and do that same quality check on. Another interesting feature is a tact plan. That's
this is a cool feature, and I'm looking forward to this. And I needed to do some Googling around the tact process and so on, and I'm a Porsche fan, so it was cool to see that actually Porsche introduced this in the 90s, and cool.
And it's used in many construction projects. We also utilize Omega 365, and tact plan, then it's about going in tact. And the concept is that you have what they call train with wagons, and in each wagon you have a crew with the activities that they're gonna perform. So this is illustrated here that first we have wagon 1 coming into one control area, and then that wagon moves on to the second. Another wagon with activities to perform comes into the same room that they were in, and then it moves on like this. And then it can be a very efficient way of getting everything done in time. And we can see also, of course, things happens. You have a nice tact plan in place up front, but then there are typically some issues along the way. Here you can see that there is
there are some indicators that gives you a good overview.
So if I click on this one, I can see that these are activities. So we're using Omega 365 Activity Register as the core for this. And there's an obstacle here indicated like this. And you can also see, for example, if I now go into this activity, I will see that I get all the standard things that we're used to from our activities register with checkpoints, planning, active the dates, sub-activities, workflows, yes, etc., etc. The third main thing in planning and scheduling in Omega 365 is a new feature we call Link Project, where, because many of our clients are also the project owner, so they have many subcontractors working for them, and they are doing the planning for their scope. But of course, for the project to have full control, they need to know the status of these activities. They need to know what's happening with their schedules. Is there something happening now that can impact any of the other contractors, for example? And then utilizing this Link project is a good way of doing that. This is something that is very fresh, and we're working on developing it, but this is something that will be, I'm sure, be utilized by our clients in a weeks or months. And you can see just some examples here. We have the planned start date, and here we have the base plan start, which you can see has moved a few days. So it's easy to see that, 3 days, 6 days, etc. And you have all the different contractors involved in this project listed like this. And it's easy to import these schedules, because these contractors, they do their scheduling in their system. That could also be Omega 365, so you can import it from Omega 365.
Okay.
And it could be Microsoft Project, it could be Primavera, etc. So you just drag and drop the file, and it ends up as a new version. Okay. So that's a lot of things happening in planning and scheduling in Omega 365. Another new thing is procurement. So we have now in Omega 365 the possibility to follow up the procurement process from the very beginning with preparing the procurement packages, getting it out to the potential bidders, having a supplier portal where the bidders can come with their queries, for example, and see the response of those, uploading their documents, the bids, etc. So that's very interesting. And if we have a little look at one of the procurements, here we can see the process it's will be going through that you have defined for procurement. And currently we are at this stage, and here you set it up like this. You have down here the possibility to upload documents, and you can also plan when is it supposed to be reviewed, when it's internal due date, clarification date for the bidders, submission due date, and when it was published to the portal, as you mentioned. You can see the bidders that are involved here. You can also tie it to meetings, so that you have an overview of all the meetings that have been related to this stage of the procurement.
And also see that you have the workspace on the right where you connect internal, I guess, for the process itself, workflows, comments, etc.
And we can also use this for the kind of the other way around. We utilize this system ourselves for bids. So you kind of just, there's a separate register for that, or separate web app, but it's using the same features.
Yeah.
Yes, so we use it for managing our bids on when we bid to provide Omega 365 to our clients.
Yeah.
Okay, and also in meetings, there's been some good updates. We have a couple of new views. The calendar view can be very useful, like this. Probably used to from Outlook and similar tools. You get an overview of all the meetings that you have access to, not only those that you're going to participate in, but you get an overview of all the meetings that you have access to. Another way of looking at it is this view, where you have the meeting overview, where you see all the different meetings here, and many of the meetings are serial meetings, so it's a monthly meeting, weekly meetings, etc., and they are then nicely populated in this view.
And here you can also see if you are a participant or not.
Yeah, so that's this indicator here. Also in meetings, we've done some updates for how you tie in related information. Very practical way of working through the meeting agenda is to have access to the information on the right-hand side. So if you look at this agenda item, I can see on the right-hand side a document. This was this release notes. So when I click here, that's what appears on the right-hand side. If I click here now, I will see this checklist, which is also a new thing that we've added to meetings, that you can, to an agenda item, add checklist like this.
Yeah, so not actually an activity or a workflow with a checklist, but a checklist itself.
Yes. And from here you can add all this if it's a new workflow, an existing risk, etc. And they will be listed nicely here. It's also available over here so that you can find them and toggle between them here. Okay, one of the great things with the Omega 365 organization structure is that in a way get portfolio reporting out of the box, more or less. We had to do some extra stuff here on our reports to make it available in cost. But now, if I go into cost project, I have a few projects within that portfolio, which is part of the organization structure.
Yeah.
And I can click on reports, cost status, and then didn't take long for the system engineer here to set up this report because it's all just aggregating
data through the structure itself.
Yes, and then you can click on the project to dive deeper into the project with WS structure.
Yeah.
Okay, and in completion, there's we have over the last few months increasing number of users. It's been used on some of the big infrastructure projects in Norway. The last few months, they started it there, and we can see a few things that have been updated here. In the setup, you have now the possibility to say that role here is an administrator of this activity, so they can do basically everything.
Administrate the whole activity itself, and the others are only participants and don't have that permissions.
Yes, correct. Several tuning or a lot of tuning to the scope items, which is activities combined with objects, has been implemented. The Scope Explorer is really the key place for those that needs to have an overview of how it's progressing. Some improvements here when it comes to how to toggle between the different chart objects. You have the possibility to navigate directly to the check sheet where you go execute the work basically. And we've added some more information here, the status on the check items, the number, the percentage completed, so you can better follow up that. So, and you will also see here that if we move over to the checklist library, the checklist library has become more and more central. As we saw, we use checklist also in meetings. So we do support that you can have versioning of the checklists, and if the check sheet's being revised, it's indicated here now that there's a new revision in preparation.
We also have this translation of check items itself for different languages, which is improving also. Yes,
so that was some of the things that was done the last few months, that you can actually get it automatically translated by Google, each individual check item. So you can have your check sheet in Norwegian, English, Polish, whatever. Yep. That's very practical. Also, when it comes to scope items, this nice graphical view, the skyline as it's called, is now available. So you can choose the dates, which activity types to include, what kind of view you want to have, days, weeks, months, etc. Also settings if you want to include or not include the child or units, for example. Also more charts to show the status with S-curves, where you can define your filter for what to draw a S-curve. An S-curve is basically the planned curve and the late curve and the earned. Okay, and in documents we've added some good features as well. One of the things that was requested by some of our clients was the possibility to batch finalize reviews. Sometimes that could be desired. You might filter for those documents where you haven't received any comments yet, and all the reviewers have actually done the work, and then you just select those and click finalize selected reviews, and they will then be completed. You will be requested to set the review status code, but so that can make it more efficient when it comes to finalizing the reviews. Another thing related to review is that we've now added the possibility to perform offline reviews. Offline reviews works the way that you download a PDF file, open it up in your preferred PDF tool, Adobe for example. It could be Adobe Reader that's supporting commenting, and then you just upload the comments that you saved from Adobe, and then it goes directly into this. It was shown in the very latest release notes that we just
and you could combine offline and online.
Yeah,
this is a parallel, it's not sequential.
Correct. And yeah, everyone can work seamlessly parallel, no checkout, check-in or anything like that. Also, we've added the possibility to, when you finalize review, that in addition to generate a PDF file that we've always generated, which includes the markups on the PDF file, we also now generate an Excel file which lists the comments. So when I finalize review now, it's generating also an Excel file, which basically is a list of these comments. Sometimes the subcontractors find that more practical and would like to have this Excel file in addition to the markups. So that will appear then under the attachments tab in this review. So if I refresh here now, I will find under attachments both the PDF file and the Excel file. And finally, in document management, we want to highlight the possibility now for applying a front page. Sometimes if you have a document and it could be produced by a supplier of you and you want to add the project front page on top of it, you can do that by having a predefined template which has tag replacement so that you can get the data from the database.
From the database, and from the document itself.
Yes, that could be document information like the title of the document, the name of the document, etc. That's available here. Apply cover page. Okay, moving over to workflows. There we have quite a few settings. These short abbreviations might be tricky to understand, but hover over it and you will see the explanation. There are tooltips that explains it. One of the things that we've added is the possibility to say that for a certain process that everyone should be able to create. Even if you don't have specific access to it, you can be allowed to create. Then we have added properties. We used to have JSON objects. Some of our users will be familiar with JSON, but we've replaced that with properties. We think that's a more user-friendly way of doing and defining this.
Defining them,
yeah. And when you add a property, it's from a central properties register, so you have better control also of it, so that you don't end up with the same thing, but just written slightly differently from workflow process to workflow process. And you can see this is for our own workflow process for onboarding new employees. Then there are some additional information that we would like to ask for. So that is done by using these properties where you can define lookup values. You can have a specific input editor that is predefined. It could be a risk lookup, it could be a text box, time picker, etc.
And these input editors could actually be created within the solution itself. So if the customer wants a slightly different lookup directly from their solution, it could be made as well.
Yeah, so
makes it very flexible.
Yes, the whole workflow concept is now very flexible, and you can get your workflows exactly according to your the client's requirements. And another thing related to this is also verifications. So in some cases, you need somebody to approve it, but it doesn't matter which order it goes through. It's not like sequential with the steps that the workflows are based on, but you need to have, like here we have the invoice verification. We would like, as part of the first step, which is verify, to get the input for procurement, company rep, and cost control. And this is just set up like this. You just define which role that is to have access to verify, and then it will appear like this in the workflow. So here we have the step verify, and this needs to approve it before we can move on to the next step.
Yeah, so you are not allowed to move to the next step before one or all of them?
Yeah, for all of them are done. Okay, finally, just want to give have a little look at status presentation. something that has been developed also lately, and that's basically a PowerPoint file, similar way as the status reports, which is based on Word. But here you have PowerPoints, where you can create a nice PowerPoint according to the company's layout guides,
Yep.
just using PowerPoint, and then you put in, okay, here I want to have some key figures from the system, here I want to have a chart, for example, and when you generate then this PowerPoint, it takes it out from the system, puts it into the PowerPoint, so you get a nice combination of good presentation layout with the actual data from the solution.
Yep.
Yes, I think that's most important, the highlights
Updates
of
or
the
the highlights,
yeah,
yeah.
from the last couple of months.
Yeah.
So quite a lot has been happening.
It was really nice. And now on to add-ons.
Yes.
Let's have a look at. We have two examples. Two customers created. We have one add-on for each of them.
And what is an add-on?
That is a good question. Add-on, as you see, so building on top of our core technology platform and not within. So you don't do customization or build within one of the products, but you build add-ons on top.
Yeah, because that makes, like now, for example, Omega 365, we deploy our updates on a weekly basis.
Correct.
And it's performed to all of our clients in, I guess it takes less than an hour,
Yes,
just
yeah.
very short time.
It's a true SaaS solution.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then, of course, if you have done some customization inside one of the application, that's more tricky to handle. But when you build them on top of the core technology platform, then you can have
Still maintain all the updates to the products.
Yes.
So we have, you can click work permits, which one of the customers created, which are reusing two of our core register, activities and workflows.
Yeah, so the work, to apply for a work permit, that's a workflow process that has been defined, so you get it exactly to that client's demands for how that should be handled. And when you get approved a work permit, it actually then becomes an activity, because you get a work permit to do some specific work, an activity. So that's
yeah, so here you see the left side, the new workflow. You can see there are additional properties, utilizing the properties that you shown for the specific workflow. The right side, you see they also added a checklist item for this specific one, and see the status here on the right side for the evaluation, if it should be issued or rejected. Of course, these are statuses that they configure how they want. But what they built on top is how they connect a workflow and the activities and automation to create the activity after the workflow is issued in this case. Yeah.
So that's a nice, very useful add-on. And this is the actual activity, how it ends up then when you have got your work permit approved, and this is the work that you're actually going to do. And you have the signatures from the workflow for the approval, everything is in place. So
and the document, and in this case, in the properties they used start date and end and so on. So they're utilizing that into the plan.
Yeah, a smart way of utilizing the core technology platform.
Yes,
for sure. Building a nice, good feature for our clients.
And the next was an interactive organization chart. We have a small video that will show. And this is also cool that they build on top of organization structure to visualize the organization chart in a different. So let's see if everything goes in this place. Yeah. So here you see the structure. You see you could toggle on and off your roles for you as a person. You can move it around. You can rotate it. Really depends on your structure or how you filter down, because again you use the context here to what do you want to show. Some summary they added per org unit.
And you can even create new org units, sub-org units or child org units directly from this one. So this is also built on top of the existing organization structure specifically for a client. So it's not part of our core technology platform.
Correct.
But they can still receive updates, and of course, if something has changed that impacts this, they might need to go in and do some adjustment of this one. But there's no issue in general to receive updates from the core technology platform.
Correct. Yeah. And they implemented creating new org units, workflows, document risk. I saw that. So yeah.
Yep.
And that are just utilizing the product component to create objects again. So
that's good. So yeah, we can do quite some cool development out there for the clients when they would like something, and still maintain that you have the core standard product.
yes, absolutely. Okay, next, what's up? We wanted to, let's jump back to your Chrome, and I'll just hijack it. Go to Omega. Just wanted to show all employees in Omega Solutions. We actually receive an email that received by Veronica and Svein Tore today, where we get a summary. But lots of things happening. Advantage, Yvonne and Aslaug had a nice video that you could view as well on YouTube. But it's important to go in and have a look at what's happening, especially if you are at the customer in the project. It's busy, we know. Go in and scroll through the updates and see what's going on. And then if you know of anything that you want to suggest, go to the question mark and you can suggest a new tip. Type it in, and Veronica, Laura and the team, they will receive it, and we can create an article on it.
That's good.
That's good. And then final.
Yeah, we have of course a plan for our Academy.
Yes.
So we're going to release various introduction videos and training videos the coming months, and we set up a schedule here that we intend to keep to.
Yes.
First of all, we're going to have more now coming in English. That's been requested because we have more and more clients now that are not from Norway. So we will come here with more training material and more videos in English. And we'll start by focusing on document management, cost management, risk management, quality management, and also preparing courses that can be used. It can be used as is, or our clients can use it as a building block that they use some of these videos and build on top of that their specific training. It could be, of course, there are different ways of configuring, as we've seen, like with workflows and many other places. You can configure it quite different from client to make sure that you meet the requirements for that specific client. So that's a possibility. So as you can see here, there are a lot coming.
Yes, we get a busy winter.
Yes.
But so there is, you have an introduction video, an in-depth one or more videos, and an activity course.
Yeah, so some of the videos will go more in depth. Some of them might be sufficient with just introduction. But let's say document management, there are some advanced stuff there with how to configure the distribution matrix, how to configure workflows. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
Looking forward. We have a new studio, so should be easy to create. Okay. This was it for this Friday. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.